that is mix-up task. Okay, so the mix-up task would be related to the routing and how we can perform router, how we can configure router as a PC. Okay, so that thing also we are going to discuss. Types of password we are also going to discuss, like how many types of password that is we can configure over here. Okay, so we will simultaneously we will cover all of the questions. So we have the question number one in this scenario, because of this is our scenario. Okay, so in this scenario we are going to configure. The question number one would be configure the diagram according to the scenario. Okay, so we are going to configure first of all the IP addresses according to this scenario, which is mentioned on this diagram. Okay, so we will going to use 192.168.12.1 on this facet 100 0/0 interface, 12.2 on this interface, and we are going to use 192.168.23.1 on this interface, and 23.2 on this interface. Okay, and on this interface we are going to use ethernet 4/0, that is 172.16.0.1/16 network, and over here we are going to use 10.0.0.1. Okay, so let's configure first of all, like let's because of these are the your routers, and what we are going to do, we are going to make these routers as a PC. Okay, so let me turn on first of all the devices which would be we have, and I will show you exactly how DHCP works. Okay, because of we also have to configure the DHCP pool and the DHCP network which is gonna be happen, that is related to this network only. Okay, give me a second guys. Hello. Yes. Yes, I'm good. Sir, can I call you back? Actually I was in meeting. I'll do that. Okay. Okay, so let's do continue. So the DHCP, which is we are going to use the pool name, which would be CCNA. Okay, on both the routers, like on the router number one and on the router number three, because of the router number one is also going to participate into the DHCP server, and this router is also going to participate into the DHCP server. Okay, and these are the our clients which is gonna be request for the IP address, and then this DHCP server is going to provide automatically IP addresses to these PCs. Okay, so let's first of all what we are going to do, uh, let's make these routers as a PC. Okay, so let's take the access of this router, router 4, router 5, router 6, and router 7, and basically these are our routers. I have changed the symbols of these devices. Okay, and we are first of all going to make this router as a PC. So how we can do, just go in the global configuration mode and type no IP routing. Okay, so what will happen when you put this command, that is no IP routing, basically this will disable all the kind of routing or all the kind of protocols which is we have regarding to the router. Okay, now if you wanted to put any kind of IP route, like how we do the static routing, simple, we have to type IP route command, right? So this is not gonna be happen anything of that. Okay, means there will be, this will not configure any kind of things, and you will be not able to configure any kind of routing protocols, such as just like router EIGRP 100. Suppose that I just wanted to configure the EIGRP 100. Then what is a problem that you will get? IP routing not enabled. Okay, that means you cannot configure any kind of routing protocol or any kind of things on this device. So now this router start electing itself as a PC. Now let me show you the IP addresses, like which kind of interfaces which is we have. So we are going to use Ethernet 4/0 as a uh, this interface we are going to set, and we are going to perform automatic IP addresses on these interfaces. Okay, so let's make the other routers as well, like a PC. Let me open the collection of that. 5 6 7. Okay, so let's make router 5 as a PC. Okay, just go on the global configuration mode and then type no IP routing. Okay, simple. Do that on the router number 6 as well. If you wanted to change the host name, so you can also change it, but no worries, doesn't matter. Okay, because of now it start electing itself as a PC. No IP routing. Okay, so let's do that on the last router. That is no IP routing. Okay, so we have done the configuration. Just give me 1 minute. अभी हाँ नीचे कर लो. अरे यार बाहर दादाजी वाले रूम में चले जाओ उसमें. आओ. Okay, so the configuration of PC is done. So let's configure quickly the IP addresses according to the scenario. Okay, so let's take the access of router 1, router 2, and router number 3. Okay, let me just take the access and router 3. Okay, fine. So let's do that. Let me check it first. Okay, everything is done. So which interfaces we have over here? Let's do the configuration on router number 1 first of all. Go in global configuration mode and then interface fast Ethernet 0/0. So on this interface, which IP we have to configure? That is IP address 192.168.12.1, and this would be the subnet mask. Sorry. Yes. Now the question is for you guys. What would be the subnet mask for /30 network? What would be the subnet mask for /30 network?
250.
250?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that is the subnet mask for /30 network. And no, don't forget to do no shutdown command. Okay, so we have configured the IP addresses on this interface, that is interface fast Ethernet 0/0. Let's configure the IP on this interface. That would be interface Ethernet 4/0, right? IP address. So which IP address we have to put? 10.0.0.1. And what will be the subnet mask? Which is 255 dot, sorry, 255.0.0.0. And do no shutdown. Okay, so I have done the configuration on the router number 1 of the IP address. Let me show you once again the IP addresses. Sorry. Okay, so this is the IP on 0/0. This is the IP on 4/0. Okay, so let's configure on the router number 2. Okay, So going global configuration mode and then interface fast Ethernet 0/0. We are going to configure on this interface first. So which IP? That is 192.168.12.2. Okay, 255.252 and do no shutdown. Okay, so let's configure the IP on this interface. So interface pass Ethernet 1/0. Which interface we have? 1/0. IP address. So which IP we want to configure? 192.168.23.1. And what would be the subnet mask in the same 252? Is that right? Because of we have also /30 network over here as well. Okay, then do no shutdown. Don't forget to do this command, guys, after configuring the IP address on the interface. Okay, because of, see, if you do mistakes in the normal things which is you have, right, like you forgot to do no shutdown to your interfaces, and after configuring all the kind of protocols on the device, that you can just means when you will done the configuration of all protocol, then you realize that why my packet and why I am not reachable with the any kind of devices. So in this case, you must have to familiar with this kind of things, that is you must have to use this command, or that is no shutdown on the interfaces. Because of these things would be no one gets any kind of idea about that, like if any faults will be there regarding the interfaces, so you will not get it out. Okay, so let's configure the router number 3. So which interface we have? 1/0. Okay, here is that. So IP address. So which IP address we have to use? 192.168.23.2. Okay, 255.255.255.252. Okay, do no shutdown. Simple. And do exit and then interface, sorry, Ethernet. Which port we have? Ethernet 4/0. Okay, so IP address. Which IP address we have to do? 172.16.0.1. What would be the subnet mask? That would be class B. And do no shutdown. Simple. Okay, so we have configured the IP addresses according to the scenario. Now, and we have also done this, make router 4, 5, 6, 7 as a PC. So we have done the two questions. Now, second question is what? Configure password, username, and configure username and password. Okay, so let's configure the username and password on these routers, which is we have router 1, router 2, and router 3. Okay, so how we can do? Simple. Type username, CCNA, password. You can also give the password at the same time. So password would be also CCNA. Okay, so this is the thing. We have done the configuration on the router number 1, and let's do the same configuration on the other routers as well, because of we have to do the same configuration on the other routers as well. So we have done that. Okay, let me configure on this as well. Okay, so I have configured the password and username, that would be CCNA on router 1, 2, and router number 3. Okay, now after that, what we have to do? We have to configure the secret password and line password. Okay, so let's configure the secret password on the router number 1 and the line password. So how we can configure the secret password? Simple, type enable secret, and what would be the password? CCNA. Okay, now then which password we have to give? That is line password. So how we can do that? Simple. Let's configure first of all enable secret on every router. Okay, because of a step by step we are going to do configuration, so that you can get identified easily. Okay, so guys, now there is a question for you: how to enable line password on the routers? Tell me that you guys have done that as well.
Line command we have to use. Line VTY.
Yes, the command is line VTY, and then it will ask that for how many users that we want to. So suppose that how many users we have four users, but we are going to take 0 to 6. Okay, so total number which is we have 0 to 15 over here. Okay, like the line numbers which is we have, that is 0 to 15. That means the 15 devices can be connected, can be take the access of the particular device at the same time. Okay, so but we want 0 to 6 over here. Okay, then we can give the password. So what would be the password? CCNA. Okay, then simple type login local. Okay, simple you have to type login local command. So this is what this is basically our telnet. Okay, like if you say that over here local or login local, so what would be happen? Local password checking. Okay, so that will help you to check the local password which is we have already configured. Okay, so that is basically will whenever any of the PC will try to take the access, simple it will ask that is um, for the password configuration, and that will always check the particular basic local password which is we have already configured. Like if you have remember, so we have given the password which is would be enable password, password, and then we have given the password that is password, and then we have given the host name. Okay, so it will ask whenever we are going to try to take the access, so it will ask that particular password over here. Okay, so we have these things to configure the telnet. So this is what we are going to configure, that is telnet. Okay, so the configuration of telnet we have done on the first router. So we have to do the same thing on the every router, that is router 2, router 3. Okay, so what we can do, we can type the particular command from here. Let me check one more thing. Let me check one more thing over here, because of we have multiple things. Okay, so that I can give you the some time for that. uh, we have multiple things guys inside that. Okay, like in the line VTY mode you can do multiple things, right? If you can check over here, this is the whole command. Okay, and the uses of the command is also mentioned over here. Okay, so we can use the multiple command over here, and then you can go for that. I think that command is not working over here. There will be the some command to configure the particular telnet protocol and login console, I think. Okay, so let's copy the command from here and paste it on every devices. How we can copy? Simple, show type history, and then you can type it the command from here. Then go on the router number 2 and then paste. Go on the router number 3, do right click. That's all. Okay, so the configuration of line password has been done on the every router. Okay, so the next step which is we have, so the next step which is we have configuration of the DHCP. Okay, so what we are going to configure? DHCP. Okay, so how we can configure DHCP? Simple, take the access of router number 1. Because of this is router number 1, which is we have, and then we have router number 2. Okay, so simple, just how we can do the basically. Yes, yes. One more command we can add over here to enable the particular telnet Because of this is GNS3, so we have to enable the particular telnet over here as well, right? So how we can do, simple, go in the VTY mode, and then we have the command that is transport input, and then what you want to access, we want to configure the telnet protocol. Okay, because of, see, if I would need something, to configure the router number 3, and we can manage the router number 3 from here as well. Okay, just take an example, why we use telnet. See, if you have the multiple locations devices, okay, so like, just like, look over here, suppose that this is US location device and this is our India location device. Okay, and they are connected with the ISP. Suppose that this router number 2 is our internet service provider, and this both the branches is connected with the internet service provider, right? Because of this branch also need internet, this branch also need internet. So suppose that this is our internet. Okay, so suppose that we want to configure something, which is on this US location devices. Okay, and here we are. Okay, suppose that here we are, and we want to manage, or we want to configure anything from here to here, router number 3. So how we can do, simple, you have to configure the telnet protocol. Okay, so telnet protocol will help you to configure. This will give you the access of the particular router, and then you can do configuration whatever you want. Okay, so you can run a command that is transport input telnet. Okay, so let's do the same thing on every router, because of we want to configure, right? So that is transport input telnet. Okay, give it the same thing, transport input telnet. Okay, I will just save the whole configuration. I will share it to you as well, so you can get this whole command in your home as well. Like, in your free time, you can check the whole command to get revise the topics. Okay, and okay,
Okay,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. Any doubt? Anybody have any doubt? Guys, do you have any doubt or any things to ask just for
No,
now?
sir.
Okay. Okay, fine. So let's configure the DHCP over here. So how we can configure DHCP? Simple. Go on the router number 1. So we are going to configure the DHCP on the router number 1. Okay. So how we can configure, guys? IP DHCP pool. And what would be the pool name? That is CCNA. Okay. So then what we have to give? That is network. Okay, so which network we are going to use over here? That is this network, that is 10.0.0.0, right? And then subnet mask regarding that network. Okay, then what we have to give? Default router. So which one would be our default router? This interface IP address would be our default router. So what would be? 0.1. Okay, if you want, so you can configure the DNS server as well. So DNS server IP, which is 10.0.0.2, suppose that. Okay, so yeah, that's the configuration is done of the DHCP on this router. So what we are going to do, we are going to provide this interface IP addresses automatically. Okay, to check that our DHCP is working properly or not, because of we have done the configuration. Okay, so we must have to verify that. So like simultaneously we must have to verify. So right now there is no mode and no anything will be set on this, and when even this interface is also down. So let's let's make this interface with a net /0. Let's make I assign the IP address. So how we are going to assign the IP addresses? With using DHCP IP address DHCP, that's all. And then turn on the interface, do no shutdown. So wait, the interface is up. You get the output. Okay, this will take a few minutes, few seconds, and then it will provide the automatic IP addresses. If sometimes if it is not going to provide, then you must have to configure, then you must have to make your port shut down and no shutdown 2 or 3 times. But we got the IP address. Okay, so this is how we can configure. Let me show you, show IP interface brief. So here is the IP. We got it, guys. Guys, is it? Okay, so yeah, so that means our DHCP is working properly. Okay, now let's do the configuration of provide the automatic IP address on the router number 5 as well. This PC number, whatever the PC we have. So interface Ethernet 4/0 IP address DHCP and do no shutdown miss interface. Okay, so just wait for a few seconds. It will get the output, get the IP address, and then we will going to configure the DHCP server on the next device, that is router number 3. Okay, come on. Yeah. So we got the IP address, that is 10.3. Let me show you as well. Show IP. Let me just. Okay. Come on. Okay, so this is we got the output. See, guys, this is lagging a bit, like a smaller lagging, which is you are getting. That means, like whenever you will work in the real scenarios, so you will get this kind of output and all. Like the timing would be like this. Okay, means whatever the process that is you are going to do, the process would be just related to this only. Okay, so yeah, so let's do the configuration of DHCP on the router number 3. Right now I'm on it, so let's configure that. So how we can do? Simple. IP DHCP pool and then pool name, which would be CCNA. Okay, and then we have to give the network. So the network is 122.16.0.0 0.0. Okay, then what we have to give, that is default router. So what is the IP address? That is 122.16.0.1. Is it? Then if you want to configure the DNS server, so you can also give it, that is 172.16.0 dot, sorry, 0.2. Okay, now, if you want that, like, if I just turn on this device and I just set the mode on this device, that is IP address DHCP, and then we just turn on the interface. So what will happen? This will request for an IP address, okay, to the DHCP server, but this will also assign automatically. It will also assign itself as a this IP address, which is we have already assigned for the DNS server. Okay, so if you wanted to make it understand, that is none of the PC wants to assign this address or this address. So how we can do that? IP DHCP.
Excluded.
Yes, we have to exclude the particular address. So what are the addresses? 172.16.0.1 and then 172.16.0.1. Okay. So that is the both the IP addresses is not going to assign these. So what are these? What it will assign? Let me show you. Okay, because of on the router number 4, it assigned the 10.0.0.2, the same IP address which is I have assigned for that. Okay, so interface Ethernet 4/0. Right now I'm on the router number 6. IP address DHCP. Okay, and then do no shutdown. Okay, so now the interfaces are up. Let's assign the IP addresses on these interfaces. Okay, so it got the IP address assigned, which is this. How is it possible? Let me check it once again. Because of we have excluded the address, right? But sometimes it just provide because of this is a simulator tool, right? So sometimes it is also gonna be happen at the with you as well. Okay, so that means our DHCP is working properly. Okay, so let's assign for that as well for router number 7. So interface Ethernet 4/0 IP address DHCP. Do no shutdown. Okay, so this will assign the automatically IP address. I'm not going to show you. It will automatically do that. Now the second questions, the another question which is we have to configure the static routing. Okay, so how we can configure the static routing? Simple. Take the access of router number 1 and let me show you first of all the routing table. Show IP route. So you will what you will get only connected network over here. That is, what are those? That is 192.168.12 network and 10 network, which is these two. Because of these are the directly connected. Are you not getting anything would be regarding this network, right? That is 23 network. Are you getting it into that? No. You can see. Okay. So but we want to communicate and we want this interface this network in our routing table. So how we can do? Simple, we have to enable IP route command. Okay, and then which network we want? 192.168. Okay, 168.23.0. Okay, so then you can give the subnet mask as well if you want. So the subnet mask would be this. Okay, then which interface we have to use to communicate? Like right now I'm on this router, so which interface we have to use to communicate in this network, which is fast ethernet 0/0, right? So we can use fast ethernet 0/0 interface number, or you can use the particular IP address of that. Okay, you have both the option. Let me show you that IP address, which is you can do that or not. Come on. So here is that. Okay. So you can give the forwarding router's address. Okay. But we want fast Ethernet 0/0 towards this. Okay. So let's do the same thing on the router number 3 because of, let me show you the routing table of that as well. So we are not getting any kind of 12 network, 192.168.12 network in their routing table. Okay. So simple, type IP route IP route and which network we want to communicate 192.168.12.0 network, right? And what would be the subnet mask? The subnet mask would be 252. Okay, and which interface we have to use to send the communication? That is fast Ethernet 1/0, right? So let me show you now the routing table of that IP route. Working a bit of slow. Now, here is that you are getting as a S. So S means static. Let me show you. S for static. So that means you are getting it from the directly connected with which interface, which is that interface, fast Ethernet 1/0. Let me show you on the router number 1 as well. Yes. 23.0. Okay, so that means we are getting the output of the another network inside this. Yeah, now you can ask the question, guys.
Sure. My GNS has some problems.
We will discuss it later. Okay, regarding that, we will discuss later. Okay, means
Okay, sir.
I will take the access of your machine and then I will show you. I will just try to explain how you can do that. Okay. Okay. Anything else that would be regarding this scenario, which is you want to ask, or which is you have any doubt or any kind of questions? No, sir. Okay, so what we are going to do, suppose that I want the access of router number one on this interface. I want the access of this interface of using this interface. I want the access of router number one on this my PC. So how we can do? Means how we can take the access, because of we have enabled the telnet protocol, if you have remember. So we have configured the telnet protocol, right? So using the telnet protocol we are going to use, how we can take the access. Yes, so telnet, we have to use the telnet protocol, and then what we have to configure, what we have to put that IP address of this interface. So what is IP? That is the IP. So it will ask the username. So what is the username which is we have created? That is CCNA. Password, which would be also CCNA, right? So what happened? CCNA, CCNA. Okay, now we got the access. See, right now I'm router number 4. I was on the router number 4. Now I got the access of router number 1. Which command we have to use? Enable. Then it will ask the password, because of it asks the secret password. Which secret password we have enabled? That is CCNA. So once you put the secret password, so you will get. Now let me show you the interfaces. So IP interface brief. So then you will get, you will get it over here. That is all the configuration which is we have done on the router number 1. Right now I'm router number 4, means I'm right now on this PC, and I'm having, I have the access of this router. Okay, so whatever you want to configure, you can configure it from here. Okay, so this is how, this is the main purpose of this telnet, and this is how we can communicate. Okay, okay, sir. Now what we are going to do, we are going to configure EIGRP, that is extra configuration. Okay, and before doing that, let's communicate from router number 1 to router number 3 on this interface, so that you can get familiar that is it's working or not. So which network? 168.23.2 takes time. Come on, why it's not going? Let me check the routing table. Because of sometimes it not perform, because of DHCP is also working, right? And the multiple things is working, so I have to disable the some points from here, then you will get it. Okay, just like previous, in the previous class we have done that, but we have to disable the interfaces, right? Means we have to turn off the interfaces to show IP out. We are getting that everything. Okay, so that means there will be some points which is we are not able to do, but no problem. If we are not able to communicate, so we have the AGRP, because of, see, that was the main problem with the static routing and dynamic routing. Okay, so what we are going to use, we are going to use EIGRP. Okay, so how to configure EIGRP? Let's configure on the router number 1. Simple type over here, router EIGRP, and then process number. It was the autonomous system number, AS number, which is called. So the AS number range which is we have, that is 1265535. See, why we need AS number? Because of, see, if you have, how we can identify if the multiple routing protocols are working on the same device, then how we can identify that which process number it is from? So this autonomous system will help you out to get identify the particular protocol, that which protocol number we are going to use, and which protocol we are going to use on the router. So we are going to use 100, and then we can do network. Okay, Network would be like any kind of network you can put, but if you want to communicate in the neighbor, so you can give the neighbor command as well. Okay, and then we have no auto summary. We have to disable that. So what is the
Sir,
use
what
of?
is this, sir?
Sorry, what?
So can you explain what is the EIGRP?
We will discuss. We will discuss. Just hold on a second. Okay, we will discuss it. So this is how we can configure. Okay, so like let's configure the same thing on every router. Uh, Let me configure and let me just show you, because of previously we were not able to communicate. Now when we configure this, then we will able to communicate. Okay, so here is that. So let's communicate. That is do ping and the particular IP address, which is 192.168.23.2. It was. Let me check the neighborship of that. I think the neighborship is not up, so we have to make sure that is up or not. Okay, guys, it is flapping, means it have the some issue. Okay, that would be related to the iOS problem, so that is why this is flapping. Okay, like you can see over here, not common subnet for this fast Ethernet 0/0, right? So that means what? That means there is flapping in their default IP routing table. Okay, and where is
Okay,
it is
sir.
flapping, there is the flapping. Okay, so once we configure, when we configure that, we have to configure, like we have to take the separate configuration for that, and then we can configure. Okay, so we will try to discuss that later. Okay, um, so we are going to stop sharing the screen. Sorry, we are going to stop. I'm going to stop video recording over here, and I'm going to upload it on YouTube, so you will also get it over there. Okay, and if you wanted to make the practice on this particular scenario, so you can definitely you can make it, and I will also refer you to some video for that as well. So let me. I will do one more thing. If you wanted to discuss, or if you wanted to check, if you wanted to see the particular EIGRP, if you wanted to read the any kind of routing protocols, so I will do one thing. Uh, I have already recorded the session. I have already uploaded the particular video on my same channel. So I will just mention that particular link in the description box, so you will also get it familiar with using the EIGRP, and what is the EIGRP, how we can configure, and what kind of things that is we will get in that. Okay, the detailed information I have mentioned in that particular video
Okay, sir.
of that. So I'm going to stop recording this video. I'm going to upload it. Any doubt do you have, guys, regarding this? Guys, do you have any problem, any doubt?
No, sir.
What about
No,
others?
sir. No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir. No doubts.
Okay, fine. So let me stop this and let me upload it.